Welcome to Lightsteel Quarantine Camp. This is the overview for our strength and speed component. So the purpose behind this training is going to be basically two things with one secondary goal as well. Become faster and stronger. And then the third important factor as well is going to be injury prevention and becoming a resilient athlete who can handle contact and different forces coming at them so that we don't get injured and miss time on the ice. So the first thing to talk about here, I obviously played hockey for quite a long time, and when I did, I was always looking for different advantages by reading things about nutrition, fitness, working out, skills training, and all that stuff. And that's just continued the last 4 years that I've been coaching for full time now. And I've been listening to a lot of the best voices there are and trying to figure out who those are. So a lot of the stuff that I've put into this camp come from the highest level coaches to do with track and field, sprinting, hockey, and getting faster off the ice, and conditioning experts as well. So the first thing that we want to talk about here is technique versus strength. And what I get a lot from parents is they're asking me, I want my kid to become faster. How do I do it? And what I always tell them is there's two sides to the coin. There's technique, which would be how do you use your edges? Can you skate properly with little to zero energy leakage? And then the other side of the coin, which often gets overlooked, especially for young players, is going to be the strength. Your technique is only going to take you so far. After you've got really good technique and little energy leakage, you need to work on strength in order to really improve your speed capacity. So specifically, we want to talk about relative strength. And relative strength just means how strong are you compared to how much do you weigh? And that is a really good predictor of speed in all sports. So in hockey, it's very leg dominant, which is the same in a lot of other sports that involve running. And what I always talk about is single leg strength compared to body weight. So how strong is each one of your legs compared to how much do you weigh? And that's going to be a big determining factor in how much power you can put into each stride and how low you can get to hold yourself as well when you get going at top speed. So we want to make sure that we're not just getting stronger, but we're getting stronger compared to our own body weight. The next section here is going to be strength versus conditioning. So in order to get faster, you have to work on strength, and that's not always going to tire you out completely. So if you just take these exact workouts that we're doing and you shorten the amount of rest, you're not going to be working on strength anymore or power. You're going to be working just conditioning. So in order to get faster and have more power and make the body produce more force, we want to take a little bit longer rest in between our sets so that you can do more work at a higher pace and really condition your brain and your body to produce more force. If we just shorten that rest cycle too much, we're not going to be able to repeat the same effort between our sets, and that is going to make it so that you're not actually getting a lot faster, if any, and you're just going to get a little bit better with your conditioning. So we want to make sure we're working on the strength side, not just the conditioning side. The next part here is rest and neural drive. So we just talked about rest between sets, and this is really what we're trying to do. Your brain, which is responsible for neural drive, is what actually limits the amount of power your muscles can produce. So when you get tired, your brain is actually automatically turning down the amount of power your muscles can produce so that you don't strain or tear anything. That's why the rest is so important between sets, because we got to let our brain recover, and then it's going to be ready to actually produce the maximum amount of force that's going to help us improve our speed and strength on the next set. So then the last part here is going to be about the lower leg. This is something that gets overlooked a lot in training plans. I did not have a single hockey-specific strength coach who worked on this stuff and understood this stuff. This comes from a guy named Cal Dietz out of Minnesota, and he works with the University of Minnesota with all types of different sports. But basically, he's applied this to hockey, but this is something that's known really well in the track and field community, is that your leg strength, your lower leg strength, and the strength of your foot is actually a big determining factor of your speed. Basically, when you run, your body is producing up to 5 times the forces of your body weight into the ground, and that goes directly into your feet because that's going to be the contact point on the ground. So if your quads and hamstrings and glutes can produce a large amount of force, but your feet can't handle that force, what actually happens is your brain down-regulates the amount of force it will let your legs produce when you're running or sprinting in hockey, because it knows that if it let your leg produce the maximum force, you would get an injury in your foot or your ankle. So you can actually get a lot of speed improvements and benefits just by working on the strength of your feet and your ankle mobility. So we have a big section on that in this program. And then the last thing with ankle mobility that's really important is your positive shin angle. So just imagine you're wearing a pair of ski boots and you're asked to sprint. When you squat down and you try to sprint, because your leg is stuck straight up and down the shin of your leg, you're only really going to be able to jump up. It's going to be really hard to lean forward with those ski boots on and produce horizontal force. So if we tie our skates too tight, the same thing's going to apply. Or if we don't have good enough ankle mobility to get a nice positive shin angle, it's going to be really hard to produce our force in a horizontal fashion. And we're going to be stuck when we try to sprint, producing too much vertical force that's going to take us up instead of the direction that we want to go. So the more mobile your ankles are, the more positive of a shin angle you can get. That's actually going to help produce more force in the directions you want to go. It's going to improve your acceleration, and it's going to dramatically improve your change of direction. And the other thing that helps with that is a lot of coaches, including hockey coaches, talk nonstop about, trying to get kids to play lower, and they keep using just verbal cues for that, but they don't take the next step often of getting rid of the physical limitations. It's really important, if we want our athletes to play lower, that they're able to bend their ankles properly. So if they're tying their skates too tight, they're not going to be able to do that. And if they don't have the ankle mobility to actually get low enough and support their body weight at that depth, they're also not going to be able to do that. So this program is working on those things as well as just speed and power.